Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F124 Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we head into round 2 of our career, our second time behind the wheel of this Williams car after a bit of a rough start in Bahrain where we had 2 separate pit issues put us way behind, and unfortunately we didn't quite get the finish we deserved in my opinion. But we are sticking here in the Middle East heading into Jeddah this weekend. Let's get on track for some free practice 1.
Red hot speed by the Red Sea. Welcome everybody to Saudi Arabia. It's practice here today at the Jeddah Corniche Street Circuit.
So then heading into the track, ready to get things rolling here. So we're not bringing any upgrades into this weekend, but we saw from our teammate last episode, Alex Albon, I mean, put up a pretty solid effort, giving me pretty high hopes coming into this weekend. Just looking for a bit more pace. Definitely did lack a little bit last time out in Bahrain, and as well looking for some consistency. We struggled quite a bit in the later portion of a run in that last episode in Bahrain, so that's something that we're kind of keeping on our mind. Now, tire wear was quite significantly high in Bahrain. We're not going to see that replicated here in Jeddah. Tire wear going to be a bit more on the minimal side, so we're not going to have to worry too much about that, but we still are going to have to pay quite a bit of attention because it seems like as the tires wear more in this game, you definitely feel the effects more in terms of a loss of traction, I feel like, in this game compared to F123. However, one thing I noticed differently from Jeddah practice to Bahrain practice, I felt confident right away here, and that was reflected on the leaderboard. Now, as you can see myself above Alex Albon. Now, towards the end of free practice 1, taking a look at the final results, we were P18, P19 for our teammate of Albon as we head into qualifying.
Welcome to the Jeddah Corniche, one of the fastest circuits on the calendar. But let's see who will be fastest of them all. We're about to set the grid for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Yes, it's qualifying.
We're getting strapped in, we're getting ready to roll here, and now the expectation is Q2. Let's make it to Q2 again and see what we can do. We out-qualified our teammate of Alex Albon in the last episode. Can we do it again here 2 episodes in a row? Immediately you see a mistake in Q1, turn 1, a bit of a lockup on the left front wheel. We breeze through the S's section, however, it's really interesting to go through that section at speed. With this new handling model, it still doesn't feel right, but it's something that I'm getting more used to as time goes on here and now. But we're coming through the back half of the circuit here in Sector 3, round that final hairpin. Another bit of a lockup. Feels quite easy at times to lock up these front tires in this game compared to the previous game, but getting that rear wing open and to the line. Our first lap, P8, but eventually down to P15. So going out on track late in the session just to make sure, because of course we are in the danger zone. If we drop down 1 spot to P16 or worse, we will be out and we'll have to be of course starting wherever we get in this round. We don't want that. We want to go on to Q2. So really hustling this car and actually even hitting the wall. However, I find about 0.6 of a second, 0.5 of a second right in that area, and we kind of stay around there for the rest of the lap through the final turn there. No lockups, and we gain a good chunk of time there, a good 1/10 of a second, so it's going to be about 5.5 of a gain to the line. That's going to put us inside the top 15 quite comfortably. P12, Albon P13, as Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Ricciardo, and Ocon all out in Q1. Look at this. Alonso will take a grid penalty due to a collision with my teammate, actually, under the qualifying circumstances right there. So he will be taking a grid penalty as we come through into Q2. Now, same situation as Bahrain. We use 2 sets of tires in Q1. So we only have 1 fresh set of softs in Q2. So it's basically a one and done kind of deal. Give it everything we got and see, well, what happens now. And I was pretty happy with the opening part of the lap now. And Albon currently P13. He's going to be heading on the track momentarily. I'm all out here on my own as we come through the back half of this circuit now through that final chicane. And we got through there pretty well. This lap's felt pretty good, actually tapping the right side wall there. Not a big deal. But we go down into this final hairpin. A bit of a lockup, but it's not really going to hinder our progress this time now. Down the front straight away and to the line. Here we go with the rear wing open. What's it going to be? Briefly, P11.
Great lap, mate. Awesome stuff.
Alex Albon would not improve, and no one else would either. We stay P11, Albon 14th. 2 episodes in a row in our first 2 races or weekends in Formula 1, and we've out-qualified our teammate of Alex Albon. That is a boost of confidence coming into round 2, where we even have a chance at points. Let's head to the grid for some racing here Saturday night.
Good morning, good afternoon, or for us, good evening, as we're under the night lights of Jeddah. The floodlights are on and so is the pressure here at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah street circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Joe, Fernando Alonso, Golden Boy, Hamilton, Bottas, Albon, Gasly, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Ricciardo, and Esteban Ocon lines up at the back of the grid. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And alongside me today is a man who needs no introduction, but I'll try anyway. It's Ant Davidson. Now, we had great fun watching them win last time out. What a great victory it was. But can they carry that into today's race?
It's the important one, isn't it, Crofty? You've done it once, can you do it again? But, you know, if you start believing in yourself and the confidence starts to build, that inner confidence is what you need. And you can carry that through to future races, including this one, and you set that ball rolling. That's the critical thing that they're looking for here. And I believe if you've got that first race win or a win at any stage, it can start to roll with you in a good way.
We're ready to roll here now from this 11th starting position. Alonso drops 5 spots due to the grid penalty due to contact in Q1 with Alex Albon. 1-stop strategy today, not like what we saw in Bahrain with 2 stops being basically mandatory. So we'll be starting on the mediums, going on to the hards now as we try to make up for a disappointing Bahrain Grand Prix.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out.
We see a huge lack of strategy compared to last episode. Everybody will start on the mediums here tonight.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Gary, it's James. Great weekend so far. We have the pace for points. Keep those rear tyres under you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, James. Thank you to the whole team for the work this weekend. Let's try to get a point out of this. We're ready to roll then, pulling up just behind Zhou Guanyu. And Zhou, for this Kick Sauber team, had a great opening round in Bahrain last episode, inside the top 10. Flawless drive there from the Chinese driver, and he starts up here in P9, just in front of Fernando Alonso. Here we go, race 2 of our Formula 1 career. Well, it's underway. We're racing, and immediately you can see Verstappen. He'll jump over to the left side. He's going to cover off Perez, and then you got the pair of Ferraris in the background there, as Leclerc will go around the outside of Perez, now the inside. In the background, there's Lando Norris side by side with former teammate there for Carlos Sainz, but you see Sainz is able to stay ahead of the McLaren early on here in these opening moments of 25 laps of racing on the way here from this Jeddah Corniche circuit now. As you can see, the top 5 all trying to scramble away, and then you got the Mercedes just in the background trailing. Now, what can Hamilton do? What can Russell do? Russell the furthest up of the 2 Mercedes. Now Hamilton actually just just in front of myself. I lost ground on the start, so I actually got in behind Alex Albon. So Albon moves up into P12 while I went down to 13th place. So we started P11 and down to P13. Nothing actually really interesting happened. I was just quite simply a bit slow through 1 and 2, and Albon was able to go around the outside, and Hamilton, same kind of deal there. So you can see 16% wear on the right front already. That was actually because of myself just briefly moments ago scraping that right side barrier. Now, of course, don't want to do that here. As you can see, everybody kind of settling in these opening moments of this round 2 of the season. Last episode, we saw Max Verstappen pull off the victory, his 55th win of his Formula 1 career. He aims for career win 56 today. I'm trying to keep track of all those driver stats for this season. I think it would be fun to kind of allow that to happen and build some stories around career accolades for drivers and whatnot. So that's something to pay attention to as this career mode continues to develop from now to future seasons ahead. Now, as we've already got a battle for the lead, here comes Sergio Perez. This is the start lap number 3. DRS, of course, enabled at the beginning of now lap 2. They're wheel to wheel through turns 1 and 2, but Verstappen will stay ahead and hold on to that lead position. Now Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Russell, then Joe, Stroll, Piastri in the top 10 after a rough outing last episode in Bahrain. Things didn't quite go in favor of Oscar Piastri. Episode 2, you know, Jeddah is kind of all about kind of finding our spot and settling in is kind of the theme of this episode. I've already heard that we might have some prospects coming into Australia as soon as episode 3 there in the next episode, as potential new people wanting to join the sport of Formula 1 might be showing up here. As you see a bit of a moment there as we lose the rear end and smack the wall. I just hit the wall. I don't know if I got damage.
It looks okay from here.
A mistake already early on now as Sergio Perez again trying to go around the outside of Max Verstappen through the final hairpin. They are wheel to wheel now. Half a car length advantage Verstappen has, and Leclerc just behind. Where does the Monaco driver go? I mean, they're side by side, not many options. He could go 3 wide, but he's actually going to follow Perez through. Perez to the lead here in Jeddah now, and Leclerc's going to try and go around the outside. Now he has that inside line, but Perez is going to keep it going there and maintains the lead. Verstappen goes from first now down to 3rd position as we are just in this big kind of train. Look at the track map. This is really strange. There's 3 separate groups of cars basically that are all clumped together, and we can't really get away from each other. It's really strange actually now, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out through the pit cycle. And look at Max Verstappen, a bold, aggressive move, 3 wide round the outside. He even used the barrier a little bit. He keeps it pinned on the outside. Perez on the left side, trailing. Where does he go? The Red Bull in the outside, inside, and then the Ferraris in the middle, and then Lando Norris and the McLaren just behind this as well as Verstappen goes through, and now Perez is 3 wide with the pair of Ferraris. Unbelievable scenes there. As you can see, Sainz, he's going to be backing out of it while Leclerc and Perez continue wheel to wheel. Who's going to come out on top of this battle? Nobody wants to lift. It's only lap 6 of 25, and these drivers are going crazy, but Perez maintains P2 as we back here continuing on our own story in the 13th position, just letting things happen. I was given an objective actually to overtake my teammate of Alex Albon, but I was just struggling to find a way around him because I could hang with him no problems at all. But actually passing him was a total different scenario. As you can see, look at this train of cars right now being led by Zhou Guanyu. I mean, it's really strange how the AI are having a bit of a difficult time overtaking as well. And Fernando Alonso, actually some radio.
This is crazy. I can't pass a car that should be in 15th, and if I do pass him, the DRS is too strong. I can't get away.
Alonso alluding to maybe the DRS with these new regulations this season maybe being a bit too strong. Now, he would actually get past Joe moments after saying that, so he's now at the front of this train, but as he also mentioned, he couldn't drive away, and he was proving that now, as you can see me trying to get past Alex Albon, but now we're going to have a bit of a change in strategy.
Okay, Gary Box, this lap we're going to undercut here.
Are you sure about that? Is that the right call?
Yes, with this train formation we can gain multiple spots.
So then we're going to come in at the end of this lap and try that undercut. Mark's idea is we'll gain multiple positions out of it. So we're going to enter in P13. So let's see how this works out now, hoping for no pit errors. Now we made 2 pit stops in Bahrain. We had a pit error with one of the front wheels and then a rear wheel throughout those pit stops. So let's see what happens for our 3rd pit stop. Hopefully 3rd time's the charm for some success. Into our pit box we go. The mediums come off and the right front is not going on smoothly, and that leads to a 3.9 second pit stop.
Okay, mate, sorry about that, but trust me, we will still gain here.
Mark is confident we can still gain some time. So we gave up 2 seconds there due to a pit error. Of course, pit stop taking right around 2 seconds, maybe closer to 2.5 at times. So, I mean, maybe we gave up only 1.5 seconds. So the goal is to just run really hard here on these hards and try to make up for that time. So of course we're putting a little bit more laps on the hard compound tire than we want to because we're pitting a little bit earlier, of course, in all the AI around us. But look at the track map now. Verstappen has driven away, so you get these kind of big groups in trains, but once you can actually break out of the DRS, it seems like they kind of get where they should be. So DRS feels like it's kind of everything in this game. Verstappen pits, and it's actually a slow stop as well for the Dutchman. A pit error there, and now he has to wait for the Ferrari and the McLaren.
Guys, what the f*** are we doing?
You hear Verstappen's radio, but nonetheless, he's still going to have a very comfortable lead because he was so far ahead when he came into the pits now. But let's see where we come out shuffling into traffic now, and you can see Hamilton, he's actually going to be a little ways behind. I think Hamilton maybe had an issue, but we get out in front of Valtteri Bottas, but Fernando Alonso's right there in front of us, and Leclerc, who was in the mix up front, is only 1.9 seconds up the road. So we'll wait a few more moments, another lap or two to wait and see, but I think we're going to shuffle out in a pretty good position. And now Perez and Sainz, they'll come in a lap later, they'll put on the hard compound tire, they gotta wait as well. Because of this train effect, you're seeing some of these drivers having to wait a long time in their pit boxes for the other cars coming through. There's Piastri now in, but here we go, the moment of truth. Our teammate of Alex Albon as well, making a pit stop in his Williams. As you can see, some side-by-side between Alonso and Leclerc in front of us, but you can already see, look at the position. We're up at a P7, a huge gain, as Alonso's right there side by side still with Leclerc. Sainz comes out just in front of them, but we're P7 in front of Lance Stroll as well as Valtteri Bottas, and Bottas has made some big gains as well. He's gotten out in front of his teammate of Zhou Guanyu, but it wasn't long until I was under pressure from Lance Stroll, who lunges one up my inside now. So when we don't have DRS, you see the true pace in these cars, and that was what exactly allowed Stroll to run me down and, well, quite simply breeze past me. So we are going to hope that they continue to battle, because suddenly, because of this undercut, we're in position to fight for points for the first time in our career in just our 2nd Grand Prix. Now under the lights here in the Jeddah Street Circuit, Verstappen running away from Lando Norris, who runs P2, and Leclerc is caught up in this battle with Perez, Alonso, Sainz, and Stroll, and them fighting has allowed me to get into the mix as well. George Russell is working his way forward now. He's up to P9 in front of Valtteri Bottas in that Mercedes, the only Mercedes in the top 10 now, as Hamilton, of course, was on the podium last episode. But let's go through the grid with 10 laps to go.
Max Verstappen leads the way with 10 laps to go. He has managed to escape out of the DRS and run off into the distance.
Extraordinary to watch this. The majority of cars can't seem to get out of the DRS and are stuck together.
Joining us in the booth tonight is 4-time champion Sebastian Vettel. How are you doing, Seb?
I'm doing great, thanks for having me.
So you've really come back into the sport this year as you've been mentoring the only rookie on the grid, Gary Owen. What brought you to mentor him?
I love his craft. He's aggressive but fair. He came up the way I did from very little funding. It's hard to come by that in the sport these days.
What would you say he needs to improve on the most?
He needs to work on his long-run pace for sure. He likes to abuse his tyres. We saw that in Bahrain, hopefully not tonight, however.
What about you, Seb? Can we see you behind the wheel of an F1 car anytime soon?
Never say never. But no, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. I'll stick to the helping side of the sport.
All right, thanks, Seb, for joining us, and we'll let you get on with your night. Lewis Hamilton down in 13th right now. Not a good night for the 7-time champion.
Even worse night for Magnussen, however, all the way down in last, while Hulkenberg runs 15th.
All the way at the back of the grid, you see Kevin Magnussen now. As look at this battle into turn number 1, 4 wide. You got Stroll, Alonso, as well as Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez, last episode, we saw him fall down the order late in the race to barely get a top 10, and we're seeing maybe the history of that race repeat itself here in race 2 of the season, because Perez, now who was once fighting for the lead, is down to P6. Those guys going 4 wide was perfect for us, because now we're right back here in the mix with them, so we don't really have to engage in these battles. We don't really have a car that's capable of passing these guys straight up, as you see a big slide for myself right there, and that might actually take us out of the range of the DRS of Lance Stroll, fellow Canadian, of course, on the grid here now. But fortunately, as the laps go on here, we're lap 19 of 25 at this point, well, they continue to fight, and I was 2 seconds back a corner ago. Now we're only 1.2 seconds back. It seems like in this game the AI kind of have a mentality of fight at all costs now, as I'm continuing to struggle there. Another slide as the rear grip is starting to give way on this Williams, and George Russell and Oscar Piastri, 2 cars that are a bit faster than our Williams now. The Williams, it does hold its own. We have a car capable of maybe getting some points here in the coming races, and including tonight. But it's going to depend on what happens here in these next few laps. Here comes Russell trying to show the nose up the inside into the final hairpin, coming to 6 laps to go, and he's going to get the job done now as we exit the final turn, but it might not be quite over yet. So Russell trying to get through, but we continue side by side. We have DRS from that group of cars in front of us. Oscar Piastri is right here in the mix, 3 wide in front of us now. Perez contact with Fernando Alonso. There's been lots of contact, but even on simulation damage, we haven't seen an ounce of it now, as there definitely should have been some damage. Now as I actually get into the back of George Russell, and as well I get no damage either. So you can see though, continuing to slip and slide around this circuit now as our hards continue to wear. We're just trying to hang on to points. Piastri behind us in 10th, Hamilton up to P11 as he's got Alex Albon, our teammate, there in the mix with him as well. As we continue on, here comes Oscar Piastri now. He's going to make a move to the right side. Look at the speed in that McLaren. We're wheel to wheel into this final hairpin. It's 2 by 2 in front of us. These AI, they just cannot escape each other. However, the 2 Ferraris somehow managed to get away from this group, so they're running off now in the distance. We continue this battle now to the right side of Oscar Piastri, his 2nd season in Formula 1. Deep into turn 1, too deep, a little bit too aggressive, as we continue to learn the hard way as a rookie here in Formula 1, as we continue to slip and slide around this circuit. Now Hamilton 1.7 seconds back, Albon 2 seconds. Can Albon actually beat Hamilton here now, as I'm just trying to nurse this thing home at this point with 5 laps to go? You can just kind of see how the car's kind of flirting around, floating around a little bit, and it's not a good floating feeling here, as we actually get our first warning of the day for exceeding track limits. Albon has managed to get right there alongside Hamilton, so Lewis Hamilton really struggling after a podium to open the season. He is at risk of not getting any points. He's going to have to pass me to get it now, as we continue in these closing moments of this Jeddah Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Now into the long, sweeping, slightly banked curve. Here's again slipping and sliding there, just trying to hang on. Has actually now got 68% wear on the right rear from scraping the barrier. I am struggling so hard out here, man. It's terrible.
I know, just hang in there. Just 3 laps left.
Now 74% on the right rear. We're seeing the same thing in Bahrain, where we just really struggled as the tires got worn and we're struggling for grip. No DRS now from Piastri as he has gotten out of range, and I am just trying to hang on through this S's section. This has been a section where we struggled a lot in this, and then this next left-hander, I've been just continuously doing this, chasing the car out to the wall. We've clipped it again now, and there you see 76% on the right rear. 2 laps to go, but we start the final lap, and we are now actually 0.8 of a second ahead of Valtteri Bottas, who's passed somehow both Hamilton and Alex Albon on the DRS straightaway. So it's just about bringing it home at this point. It's not been easy, but the pressure is on. Does Bottas have anything for us now? Another slide. We save it. We've been wheeling this Williams around here, showing what we can do, at least in wheeling a car, but he is able to close the gap to 0.6 of a second. Again, chasing it all over the place here, up into the barriers, hitting anything just about that we need to keep this car going in the right direction. Max Verstappen is all in control control here over Lando Norris in these closing moments now. And Verstappen, he's going to round this final turn here from Jeddah, and he won Bahrain in the last episode, and the second time this season he's going to win round 2. Career win number 56 for Max Verstappen.
Great work, team. We'll take it. Lovely stuff.
Another win for Verstappen. Lando Norris will bring it home in P2.
Good race, guys. We needed that one. Let's keep it going.
It will be Carlos Sainz on the podium over Charles Leclerc as we round the final turn ourselves. Just half a second on Bottas now. We don't have much battery to use, and Bottas is going to try and drain his. It's going to be a run to the line, but we should be okay. Our first point in Formula 1 in quite dramatic fashion. We will absolutely take that. P10 in Jeddah.
Great drive, Gary. We still need to work on that long run pace, but job well done. Your first point. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Thank you, team. Awesome night. I'll remember this one forever.
And that brings the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix to a close as we reflect on the team's impressive performance today.
Red Bull Racing has been hot. Max Verstappen wins the first 2 Grand Prix of the season, while it's not been as strong for, say, Sergio Perez, who's not quite been able to replicate that success. He's not even made the podium yet this season now. And again, like last episode, 3 different teams on the podium with Red Bull, Ferrari, as well as McLaren. This time there, of course, with Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz joining Verstappen. There you see Adrian Newey as well up here on the podium to celebrate with his driver. Now the winning constructor this weekend, and probably the constructor we expect to see win many more races to come this season, to say the least. Now Verstappen sprays the champagne now, and overall, I mean, very happy because we were able to get our first point. Now it wasn't easy and it wasn't pretty at the end of this Grand Prix. Clearly still some work to do going forward. Hopefully Australia, we can figure out that long run pace. That's kind of the goal there. We know we are capable of points. Albon is a P12. Hamilton struggled so hard right at the end. He drops to 14th, even loses out to Zhou Guanyu. A terrible night for Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time champion, as we are quite happy going into Australia, where we as well might be bringing some upgrades. But now we're 1-1 even with Albon in the race pace, but in qualifying we're 2-0 up on Albon. So hoping to go into Australia and continue that, but we'll have some comments from Albon going into that next episode. I'll see you guys for round 3 in Australia. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.